welcome to the couch. My name is Julian Shellent, and I am your host. And today we've had a lot to talk about. NFL Week 1 recap. A lot of stuff happened this week, a lot of upsets. I want to talk about the Packers losing a close one to the Browns. The Eagles game. Wow, what a good ending, insane ending. And then I just want to talk about some other stuff. The Colts are rolling. The Bears had a great game. And then some teams I'm kind of worried about. Not the Rams, sorry. The Ravens. A little worried. They lost a very well. If you look at the score, it wasn't as close, but definitely a game that was within reach and definitely a winnable game for the Rams. Now they've lost two of those, and so how worried are we about that? How worried are we that Derrick Henry has two fumbles in 3 games? We'll look at that. Uh, but yeah. First of all, I want to say it was a great weekend for football. Always is, and let's just get right into it. I'm gonna crack open a little soda real quick. Today we got the Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar, pretty classic. But I am actually excited because now that I finish this, I get to have my Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar cherries. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. I just want to talk about the Chargers for a second. What a start for Justin Herbert. Okay, you come off a year last year where he was kind of an underdog in the MVP voting. And I think that he was in the argument for top 5 for a lot of people. I think, there was some fringe guys. It was, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. And then you kind of get to that 4 and 5 spot, and it's Burrow, Hurts, Herbert, Stafford. You get a lot of these names, and even Daniels, who had a great rookie season. He was already up in those talks. And what a statement season for Justin Herbert. And what I want to see is the nail in the coffin. Let's win a playoff game. Let's go out there. Let's win a playoff game. Let's make some noise in the playoffs. And that is what I want to see from him to personally be in my top 5. But he's playing like it right now. He's playing better than any quarterback right now. He leads the league in passing. He's got 6 touchdowns and only 1 interception. He is playing fantastic. I think he's in the MVP race right now with Allen, Lamar, and I didn't think I would say it, but Daniel Jones. Obviously, if you're the quarterback of the league's best offense at the moment, statistically, you're going to be in that MVP conversation. And I think that those are the 4 guys to me that are kind of leading the race. I think that there are a lot of good guys. Mahomes is playing his heart out, but it's led to a 1-2 start. Same thing with Lamar, but I think that Lamar I think he's already a 3-time winner, so he's already kind of in that conversation. But anyways, I think that he could win the MVP. And I think if he does win MVP, he would be solidified in my top 5s and a lot of other people's top 5. Because right now, my top 5 in no order is Lamar, Allen, Mahomes, and then personally Joe Burrow, and then Jalen Hurts. Justin Herbert at the 6. And right now, he's playing himself into that because with Burrow's injury struggles, how can you put him in the top 5? I mean, realistically, he doesn't play. He hasn't played. I mean, when he does play, he's amazing, but not playing is a limitation on his game, and that's what we're seeing. So, right now, I think to me, he's kind of moving up into that spot with Jalen Hurts, into the top 5, and the Chargers are rolling, man. I did a video last week before the Broncos game, and it was the EPA per play through 2 games, so it's a small sample size, but the Chargers had the best passing offense. I mean, it was in the bottom corner where they had the best passing offense and the worst rushing offense. And so now they've kind of regressed to the mean a little bit more, but still one of the best passing offenses in football. And Herbert is going crazy right now. I mean, insane. Nuclear. And I'm really excited. Wish he would throw it to Lad more often, but he wants to throw it to nursing home Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston for whatever reason. But anyways, I'm very excited for the Chargers. I think that they honestly are my pick to win the AFC West, and they're looking more and more like my Super Bowl pick with how bad the Ravens are losing these games. Originally, my Super Bowl pick was Eagles-Ravens. I wanted it to be a Bird Bowl, but I am starting to get very worried about the Baltimore Ravens, honestly. Look, they're 1-2 entering the season, and all these games have been difficult. They played a very, good defensive team in the Browns. Not a good team all around, but a team that can clearly make some noise with upsetting the Packers this week. But how worried are we about this Ravens team? I mean, they have one of the best offenses in football, but their defense is lacking. And I thought that the addition of Jair would be something that help propel them into a more dominant defense. But he's only played one game. And in that one game, he had 3 targets for 3 completions for 83 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he is playing so bad in the one game that he's actually played. And when the Packers cut him, I was surprised because to me, I would rather have a good player for 6 games than to not have him at all. Because who is the other corner on the Packers, right? At the time, it didn't look like they didn't have Micah yet, and it was like you have issues with the pass rush. You need this secondary to be exceptional. And now, with the pass rush coming in, Micah coming in and playing really well, these other corners are looking great. And I think that it would have been nice to have Jair on top of that. But he's not even playing good. He's literally not playing good. And so I think this Ravens team needs to really be worried about the defense because it is so lackluster. It's the same reason I'm worried about the Bills. You know, they're able to win it in close games. They forced a Derrick Henry fumble that ultimately won them the game. They were able to stop and pick off Tua when the Dolphins were driving down the field. So they're doing enough. The Ravens aren't doing enough. And now they enter a really hard week where they play the Chiefs, I believe. I just want to double check that. But yeah, I mean they're going to be playing hard teams all year, and if their defense is going to be selling them games, they're not going to make it far in the postseason, just like they haven't in the last few years. And I was talking to my friend Carson, and his older brother Grayson, is a Ravens fan. I think their whole family is actually Ravens fans, besides Carson. And he was saying like they literally don't care if they win in the regular season. They just want to see something in the playoffs, and I think that is so valid. I mean, right? Like this team is so good. This offense is literally the best offense in my eyes in the league. And they're 1-2. Selling a game to Buffalo, which they should have won. And then losing a close one to the Lions because their run defense is terrible. I mean, they let Gibbs and Monty run all over them. And that's why I kind of want to bring the question, is John Harbaugh on the hot seat? You really haven't had any success in the playoffs for a while now. And while you're winning regular season games, to me it's similar to the Mike Tomlin. Obviously at a different level, but it's similar to the Mike Tomlin thing where it's like, when are you actually going to be able to win a Super Bowl or make it to a Super Bowl? So I don't know. Maybe this could be a hot season seat if the Ravens, continue to, kind of dwindle in the playoffs. Do you think that maybe this could be a hot seat game or hot seat season? Double check. Every time you look up something, it just gotta be terrible. Why are you pulling me up like week 4 of last season? Like why? Yeah, the Ravens play the Chiefs on Sunday, and so this is a game where 1-2 teams are entering the arena. One of them is coming out 1-3, and if the Ravens come out of this 1-3 because they historically cannot beat the Chiefs, what does that mean for the rest of this team? I don't think that Derrick Henry is going to be a big factor in this game against the Chiefs because, the Chiefs have been shutting out, or at least playing it up against the run so much. So if Derrick Henry is not going to be a factor, you're going to see how the offense looks with Lamar. It's going to be great. It's all this defense. It's all reliable up to this defense. And if they lose, I don't, they're not making it to the Super Bowl. And so I am starting to get pretty worried about the Ravens, but I don't want to overreact, right? They've played really good teams. Besides the Browns, they've played really good teams and then a really good defense. And I think I want to see more. The sample size needs to increase. But the water is rising. I'm starting to get worried because 1-3 doesn't look great, especially when you're trying to make the playoffs and get to a Super Bowl. 1-3 doesn't look great. And so I want to look at the rest of the Ravens schedule, because if they're not entering any easy parts, because they have a division where they're going to have to fight for wins. I mean, they did blow out the Browns, but that first half, it didn't look like they were going to blow out the Browns. Play the Texans, Rams, Bears. They're playing a really good Rams team, but the Texans and Bears, that's not super good. They're going to play the Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets. So they're entering a easier part of their schedule. But being 1-3, if they come out of this Chiefs game with a loss and be 1-3, they are going to have to be flawless throughout the other side of the season if they want to be that number 1 seed. I mean, think about the number 1 seeds last year. Let's look at the Lions. Or actually, let's look at the Chiefs record last year. Chiefs record last year, I believe they only lost 2 games, right? Yeah, 15-2. Let's say that 14-3 is going to get you the number 1 seed. You're already at 3 losses. You literally have to win out the rest of the season. And while they have an easy schedule, they play some tough defenses. The Browns have a tough defense. They play the Rams, who have a pretty good team. I think they could beat the Ravens with how bad their defense is playing. So I'm starting to get worried about this Ravens team. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I'm starting to get worried about this Ravens team. And I think that I saw a really good tweet talking about the Packers and Ravens, and he kind of compared. He said the Ravens and Packers are the opposites. They have this number 1 offense. The Ravens have this number 1 offense and this high variance defense. Any given Sunday, their defense could play amazing or terrible. And it's the exact opposite with the Packers. They have this elite defense. Elite. But their offense has so high variance. There's no guarantee their offense is going to play to the expectations that they need to. And you saw it in this Browns game. They lose a close Browns game where I think it was like 10-3 for most of the game. It was just low scoring grind fest. And then it comes down to field goals, and you get a block. 13-10, Browns win. I want to look at this. But, I mean, this is a team that trades for Micah Parsons, and you envision this high-powered offense behind Jordan Love. But really, they need to get into that rhythm. They had it in week 1. And then in week 2 against the Commanders, they look great too. And then coming off a long week, you play one of the hardest defenses in the NFL, granted, but you put up 10 points. 10 points. After an extended week, and where you scored 1 touchdown the whole game, and then your elite defense, gave up 13 points in the 4th quarter. And I just, your running back gets held to 30 yards. The quarterback throws 183 and throws an interception. And it's not like the Browns played well. They just kept up because your offense kept stalling out. Did they block 2 field goals? I feel like they blocked 2. Uh, no, they just okay. Yeah, they blocked that field goal. And like this whole drive, this whole last drive, you immediately get a pass interference, you move down the field, you get another 18 yards, and then you just start stalling out. You can't get anything going in the run game when you haven't been able to the whole time, and then you kick a long field goal, and it gets blocked. So, I think that they're inverses, and I'm worried about both teams because of that. Because of the struggles on one side of the ball. They're so elite on one that they end up starting to fall off on the other side. Not that they start to fall off, but they are, it's high variance. It is a flip of the coin if they're going to be good or not. And I honestly think that if the Dolphins continue to lose, and I know they're not talking about trading Tyreek, I really think they will. I think the Packers are a team that could end up trading for Tyreek. But the water's rising, as I said, for both of these teams, and we'll see how it comes the next week. Packers have a pretty easy game against Dallas, so we'll see how they play then. We'll see if Micah Parsons gets its revenge game with Tyler Booker being out and CD being out. So we'll see there. And then the Ravens, it'll be interesting to see how, if they end up losing to the Chiefs, how 1-3 affects this team. But let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about the Colts dominating, blowing the Dolphins out of the water, blowing the Titans out of water, winning a close game that they probably shouldn't have won against the Broncos, but a win's a win. Can't discredit it. My worry is, are they the Saints last year? Saints came out hot last year. Winning, I think, 3 games. They blew out Dallas. And then they played the Eagles, lost in a close game, and then it was just downhill from there. I know that they had a lot of injuries, especially with Derek Carr being injured. But I still think they win the AFC South. I don't think that they are the Saints from last year. But I do see a regression to the mean. I don't think that Daniel Jones continues to play at this high level throughout the season. And I think that they are benefited from playing some very lackluster teams. They play the Rams this week. This should be a very good test. Because none of these offenses they played are very high powered. That is the difference. The Rams have such a high powered offense. They're good on every level. They're good running. They're good passing. And they have a good pass rush too. And so we'll get to see a little more from this Colts team. I expect it to be a lot closer. And I do expect them to win the AFC South. I mean, the Texans have a Duracious start, which I called from the beginning. I mean, they literally don't have anyone on their offensive line that would start anywhere else. You could take any of those offensive linemen, put them on any other team, none of them are starting. So this Texans team is not winning. This Titans team has no real hopes. I mean, Cam Ward has been playing pretty good, honestly, but a lot of drops from his receivers. And then this Jaguars team. Trevor Lawrence has not been playing well. I think they're 2-1. But Trevor Lawrence hasn't been playing well. Brian Thomas hasn't been playing well. It's not been going together like it should. Yeah, they're 2-1. Probably end up giving the 49ers a 4-0 start, which would be pretty crazy with Mac Jones. But anyways, the Colts have a very easy path to the playoffs, and I think that they're going to make the playoffs. But I do think they end up winning 10 games. I think they're one of the lower win teams in the playoffs, and I think that they could definitely win a game because whoever the 7 seed is in the AFC, it's gonna be rough, man. It's gonna be like the Raiders or the Patriots or maybe the Broncos, or even the Chiefs, maybe. So it'll be an interesting first round. I almost guarantee the Colts make the playoffs. You start 3-0 in a very weak division. I am almost 100% sure they're gonna make the playoffs. The question is, does Daniel Jones continue to play like this? And how good is his defense for real? I want a real test, and that'll come this week against the Rams. So I'm very excited for that. But in the meantime, Jonathan Taylor's top 3 running back. He's playing like it. Honestly, might be top 2. I think that the only running back better than him right now is Saquon. Derrick Henry's not been playing great. Fumbled twice. I think that if you look at career, that's different. But this season alone, Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in football. And so we got to see how the rest of the season plays out. But if their offense keeps rolling like this, and they might as well cut the damn punter and just go for it every time. So, but speaking of the Rams, let's go on to actually speaking of domination. Let's talk about Bears Cowboys. Oh my, ultimate Eberflus hate watch. If you do not like Matt Eberflus, you bet you love this game. I bet you did. Ben Johnson called the game exactly like Ben Johnson would. The flea flicker for the touchdown, that was perfect. And Ben Johnson kind of owns this Cowboys team, but I think it's less this Cowboys team and more Matt Eberflus. I mean, you saw that it's just Eberflus's defense is just too vanilla. You need a 4-man pass rush, and then you trade away Micah Parsons, and you don't have that 4-man pass rush. And eventually, it is going to catch up to you. I think that you're seeing that in how bad this Cowboys defense is playing. I mean, these corners are getting burnt every game because they're constantly tested and tested and tested, and eventually they're going to slip up. There's no trickery. There's no anything for Matt Eberflus. He's just saying, hey, we're going to run this, and that team's going to know, and we're just going to hope it works. It's not the way to go it. But it was a great game for Bears fans, and good sign for how this Bears team should be operating. Excited to see what they do this week against. Excited to see what they do against. I feel like they play the Cowboys. No, they play the Raiders. Oh, okay, that should be a good game. And then the last game. Last game I want to talk about. We've been going 22 minutes. Last game I want to talk about. Eagles game. Fly Eagles fly, baby. Because what a disastrous first half. I was so mad. I accepted that we had lost, and was preparing what I was going to say about Kevin Petula. But second half, we came out firing almost immediately. I mean, obviously the fumble, delayed that a little bit, but firing all cylinders. Completion to AJ Brown, bang, touchdown. And that is the beauty of this Eagles team, right? You have all of these weapons on offense. You can be so versatile. But the problem is the Eagles choose to be a one-edged blade instead of a double-sided blade. They choose to be a freaking IKEA knife. Okay, why? I know that the run game works. I know that getting 3 yards every time works. But when it doesn't work, this is what happens. And they chose not to change it until the second half. And I think a lot of it had to do with Jalen Hurts wanting to change it. He spoke a lot about the end of the game. Hey, this is the football we need to play to win. He talked a lot about this is who we are. He's saying, I think what he is saying is like, we can do more than get 3 yards every play. He's saying, look, the running game is obviously important, but we're going to go down and make some big plays in the passing game because it's important. And it's exactly what I said last week. So, I agree with Jalen Hurts here. And just look at how much Saquon had in the second half after they started passing the ball. Saquon, he had like a few runs and they all were pretty good. They were all getting him open in space. It just opened up so much more because you have to fear AJ and Devontae. You have to fear Jalen Hurts when he is dropping back. And that is the beauty of this Eagles team. That's why they won the Super Bowl. I mean, you saw what happened. They knew the Chiefs were going to take away the run. So they opened up the passing game. Why is that any different this year? It makes no sense. And I think Kevin Petula is going to learn, and I think this Eagles team should keep learning from this. And what a miraculous play to save a game, keep them 3-0. 2 back-to-back block field goals. I didn't think I'd ever see that. And Jordan Davis, what a menace. He's kind of struggling pass rush wise, but in every other way, he is making up for it. You saw him get to 18 miles an hour. He had that crucial rundown of Matthew Stafford. And while it's not a huge accomplishment to outrun Matthew Stafford, to stop the third down, look, he did it. I don't think he could have done it last year. And what a play, what a game for him. But really, what a game for AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts. Like, honest, dude, beautiful. And I think that this is the football they're going to continue to play, and I want to see it this week against the Bucks, because the Bucks really are good, really good against the run, and they struggle against the pass. So I want to see this at the beginning. I don't want to see a deficit at halftime because we've been running the ball the whole time. But anyways, I think that this is what we want to see from this Eagles offense. It's the beauty of it. It's the reason they won the Super Bowl. Let's continue to use it, please. And then bad week for the predictions, by the way. Only went 10-6 this week with the week predictions that are on the TikTok. So go check them out. If you the TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, Reel or Shorts. Check them out if you can. We went 10-6 though because a lot of upsets. Honestly, the Bears upset the Cowboys. I thought it was gonna be a close game. I didn't think it was gonna be a blowout like that. I mean, with CD leaving, that kind of assisted. And then obviously the Packers losing didn't have that, and then the Ravens losing on Monday night, another one. Didn't think that was gonna happen, especially in the fashion that it did. But hey, we're gonna get that back up this next week. First up for the fantasy pick'ems of the week, which is what we're gonna do right now, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the show. We got Tyquan Thornton. He's had 2 back-to-back weeks. Now Xavier Worthy does come back, but it's worth a pickup if he continues to carve out a role. Because I mean, Rashee Rice is still gone for a few more weeks, so he might be able to be like a flex start in deeper leagues. And I personally think that he will be able to carve out a role if he continues playing like this. And then next up, Torrey Horton. Punt return touchdown, another receiving touchdown. I think he's really solidified. The guy I talked about last week, I think he really solidified himself as their 3, and I think he could be coming for that Cooper Kupp role. I mean, Cooper Kupp hasn't looked great. I think that, you could end up getting a pretty decent wide receiver, flex start in deeper leagues. And a lot of these guys are very deep league stuff because I'm in a 14-man. So you kind of have to look at it like that. Trey Benson, obviously, with James Conner going out on IR, just really rough for this Cardinals team. And then let's get one more. Oh, he's probably already on rosters, but Elic Ayomanor. Ayomanor? I think it's Ayomanor. I think he's a pretty good pickup. I think he will slowly emerge to be this Titans receiver 1 with how bad Ridley's dropping stuff. And Lockett's looked okay, but I don't think he's going to be able to be that wide receiver 1. I think he, Ayanomore could eventually break into that role. And I think that he is a valuable stash piece. He got an open bench spot, or at least somebody to watch on the waivers. But that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you for listening or watching. I appreciate it. It'll be a very good week. I want to actually, this Bears-Raiders game is probably going to be my game of the week. I know it's 2-1 and 2 teams, but I need Ashton Genty to break it. And I thought it was going to happen last week against the Commanders. But God forbid they give that boy any help. And but with the Bears defense that struggles against the run, this might be the Ashton Genty breakout game. So get ready, Genty fans and Genty fantasy owners. Get ready. But anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure to check us out on TikTok, all the socials, TikTok, Instagram. Watch the shorts, subscribe if you can, and thanks. for listening and watching. We'll be back next week. I want to try and get them out Wednesdays and Thursdays. Probably Thursday in the morning is when we'll be uploading. So look for that. And then check out the TikTok. We're going to be doing our predictions today and tomorrow. All right. See you guys. This podcast is produced by Student Media. Student Media is a student organization at the University of Evansville. Student Media produces the Crescent magazine published online and in print 3 times a semester. Student Media produces several podcasts and utilizes design, photography, video, and sound towards experimental and academic learning in journalistic endeavors and engaging storytelling. Student Media elevates the voice of the student body and connects the campus and community to important information and points of view.